It's only 4 o'clock when I'm filming this and it's already starting to feel like late afternoon again. Autumn is coming and I'm both excited and sad to see summer go. Me talking to the camera before I even intro my video. I don't even know how to intro anymore. It's been so long. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sierra Science Show channel and welcome to a new video. It has been months and months and months and months since I have uploaded on my booktube channel. The TLDR of why I've been gone is just life has been moving so fast for me in the last 5 to 6 months. It has been insane. I don't really have anything bad. There's no real bad reason why I have been gone from booktube. It's just I was working as a student. I graduated from university in June. I moved into my brand new first apartment, which is like what you're looking at. I realized I haven't even filmed a video in here and I've been living here since May and it's now the 1st of September. And life has been moving so fast. I wrote an entire blog post about the things that have been going on in my life in the last couple months. If you want to read more and understand more about why I've been gone, I will put it up on the screen somewhere. It will be in the description. For a while I just like didn't feel like uploading, and honestly I kept beating myself up about it, but honestly I was like, well, if I want to upload, I'm gonna upload, so here we are. And evidently I have finally gotten the urge to upload because today, this weekend, there is exciting things happening. In 2 hours, my best friend ever is coming, and she's flying from Southern California to visit me up here in Oregon. It's gonna be the first time that I've seen her since last year in Christmas. It's gonna be the first time that she's ever visited Oregon, ever saw my first apartment. I'm gonna take her around campus. It's gonna be a great Labor Day weekend for the both of us. And I figured because we both love books and we're both bookworms, why don't I take advantage of making this into like a little weekend vlog kind of thing, and we're gonna visit a couple bookstores this weekend. So if I'm gonna be down south and there's a Barnes & Noble in the vicinity, why would I not go? During this big annual sale, of course I'm gonna go. So that's what we're actually gonna go do while we wait for my best friend's flight to land. And then on top of a Barnes & Noble trip today, tomorrow we're going up north to Portland, and since she's not from here, I definitely want to take her to Powell's bookstore, and we're gonna do yet another book haul or bookstore visit, and I am very excited about that. Okay, but before we get to Powell's tomorrow, first stop on the list is Barnes & Noble, so let's go. Hello everyone, it is now the weekend after all of those clips were filmed. My friend has gone home and I'm very sad, but we obviously had a blast. And I have so many books now to show you all. I'm gonna start with the books that I got from Barnes & Noble because that's the first place I went this week. The first one that I got, I've already picked out, is going to be a read for December because it is a winter Christmas themed book. I picked up Mind the Gap, Dash and Lily. Hopefully you can see it. This is the third book in the Dash and Lily series trilogy, I guess. They're kind of loosely connected stories, but I'm very excited. If you ever read Dash and Lily, the TLDR is that it is set in New York. It's a winter romance, and it's basically like Lily, her brother works in the Strand bookstore in New York, which is really popular, really a big, gigantic bookstore, and basically she sets out a notebook full of dares for somebody, a romantic interest, to do if they so dare to take on her request to actually meet her in person. The second book in the trilogy is called 12 Days of Dash and Lily. That brings us to Mind the Gap, Dash and Lily, and this book features both Dash and Lily, and now we're set in, it's time to go to college for the two of them, and it basically turns into like, can they do long distance while either of them are in college? That is as far as I know going into this book. It was honestly an auto buy for me just because I love this book series, so I don't really know much, and I'm gonna enjoy it either way probably. So I got Mind the Gap, Dash and Lily. Okay, and actually the only other book that I ended up getting from Barnes & Noble is the sequel to Miss Ma'am Here, The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. I got The Merciless Ones. I wrote a review for The Gilded Ones. It's up on my blog if you want to check it out. And honestly, I didn't love it, which was very disappointing because it was a highly anticipated, like well-received read of mine, and it was pretty well-received in the booktube community in general, so I felt like my opinion was a little bit of the minority, and that's fine. But I have this thing where I like to see series through no matter what I thought of the first book. I mean, if it was like atrocious and totally not something I wanted to read again, I wouldn't have got it, but I didn't hate The Gilded Ones, it just didn't do what I wanted it to do, and therefore I was willing to bet on the sequel being better, so I ended up picking this one up. I am going to read and review the second book in this series. I don't know if it's just a duology or if it's going to be a trilogy, but I have both now. If you've never read The Gilded Ones, the synopsis of this book is that our main character, Decca, lives in this world that is divided by blood, so it kind of gives Red Queen vibes in that way. Red blood is normal human blood, gold blood is cursed, sentenced to death blood, and basically every year they have this bloodletting ceremony where they determine if teenage girls are pure or not. So the book opens with Decca's bloodletting ceremony, her time to decide if she is pure and gets to stay in her village, or she is not pure and she'll be executed. And as you can see by the title and everything, she is not pure. Her blood runs gold. She is sentenced to death, except she doesn't die. She gets put into like kind of like the royal like mercenaries kind of thing to defeat the Death Streaks, which are these like monsters that are terrorizing villages and the capital and all kinds of stuff. And of course the plot thickens eventually because as Decca is in this royal mercenary group, she realizes that she's just a little bit different than everybody else. So that is the premise. This is the second book. I really don't know what the premise of the second book is. It's mostly like a continuation of Decca and the other people trying to do the quest that they're on from the ending of the first book, and more struggles, more obstacles, things like that. So we'll see what I think of it, and I will review it, so stick around. Alright, so now I have books that I got from Powell's Bookstore in Portland, and the first one I picked up is The Skin of the Sea, and this is by Natasha Bowen. I have had this book on my radar for quite a while, actually. It gives me the Siren vibes, obviously because it's a mermaid-styled book, but Black Mermaid, like hello, of course I'm gonna buy it. The premise of The Skin of the Sea is we have our main character mermaid named Simi, and she is tasked with collecting souls of people that are like sea voyagers basically, and she's working for this like goddess or whatever of the sea, and that's her job. However, one day of course there is a man or a boy that comes and falls into the sea, and she's supposed to kill him, but she decides not to, and that is where things go wrong and get interesting. And that's pretty much all I know about this book. It is an actual series, and apparently the second book has come out. It's called The Soul of the Deep. So That's as much as I know about this book. That's as much as I kind of want to know going into it. It's pretty short. I'll probably go through it really fast, but it just intrigued me. So yeah, we'll see what I think. Starting a new series yet again. So yeah. So this next one is really exciting because as you saw, both me and my best friend actually got the same book. We both bought it and we are planning to buddy read it this time. We tried to buddy read Clap When You Land and we never ended up reading it at the same time. So we have dedicated ourselves to actually buddy reading this book and seeing what we think of it. So the book that we are going to buddy read together is Among the Beasts and Briars, and this is by Ashley Poston. I'm gonna do this because the white balance is all off. But honestly, this was a little bit of an impulse buy for me, mostly because I just love the elements that it talks about. Okay, so as far as I understand, Among the Beasts and Briars is about our main character. Her name is Karis, and she's living in the kingdom of Aloria, I think is how it's pronounced. And basically all is well in Aloria. It is safe, there is no famine, there is no disease, there is no nothing going on in the walls of the kingdom. It is safe. However, outside of the kingdom in the forest are some interesting dark things happening. And then it gets even weirder when a new queen is crowned in Aloria and things get out of hand in the forest and it starts to breach the walls of the kingdom of Aloria. Therefore, it is up to none other than Karis and her sidekick Fox to figure out what is going on in the kingdom and outside in the dark forest. And literally when I read that she has a sidekick Fox, like I just bought the book. I was like, yep, I'm gonna get it. Like a fox as a sidekick? Yes, like say no more. I am very much looking forward to actually getting to buddy read this with my best friend and hopefully we both love it. So Among the Beasts and Briars. Okay, and this is the last book that I got from Powell's bookstore, but we're not done yet. I have one more book after this. But this book is Dreams Bigger Than Heartbreak. This is by Charlie Jane Anders. And if you don't know, this is the sequel to Victory is Greater Than Death. This is the first book in the series. I think the third one of this trilogy is actually coming out later this year. This is a book that has been sitting on my shelf unread for over a year now. I picked it up at like a random, it wasn't even a bookstore, it was just like a random kind of shopping place while I was out with my half-sister last summer, at the end of last summer, and it's just been sitting. This is a sci-fi book. It definitely gives me some kind of Illuminae Files vibes, but it's actually not the same concept. So this book follows Tina Main. She is our main character, and it is very interesting because Tina grew up as a normal human teenage girl on Earth, but she has never actually just been a normal human teenage girl. Tina is actually the reincarnation of an alien captain named Captain Argentina, and she died in like this weird space battle, but they were able to kind of like preserve her mind and her memories and like implant them into a human girl. And they basically planted them in Tina and put Tina on Earth just while she was growing up and to try to hide her. Inside of Tina is this rescue beacon that she can kind of feel, like almost like a pulse of a heartbeat, but it's not her heartbeat. And basically when she becomes of age, that rescue beacon is supposed to light up and the alien tribe that she's a part of is supposed to come back to Earth to get her, and she's supposed to really become Captain Argentina all over again, basically. So of course the book opens with Tina's rescue beacon finally going off after so many years of her just lying in wait, waiting for this moment to fulfill her greater purpose. And yeah, the book kind of just takes off from there and we are thrown into the woes of an alien tribe battle, basically. A space war, if you will. I'm actually currently reading this book as I am recording this, and I am just over halfway done. I thought it was going to be kind of lame because I just randomly picked it up, but I'm liking it enough that when I went to Powell's and I saw the sequel, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy the sequel because I want to know how this continues to play out right away. I will be reviewing this book too, but it's so low-key. I haven't heard anybody talk about this book, but it's been really cool so far. It has its pros and cons. There are some things that I know that I will critique by the time I am done reading it, but I am intrigued enough to continue the series right where I left off, so yeah. Okay, and the last book that I have to talk about with you all today, I am very excited because I thoroughly enjoyed the first book of this series. So I actually pre-ordered this book through Barnes & Noble, and a little bit of tea. Barnes & Noble, I was under the impression that if you pre-ordered a book, you were supposed to get the book on the release date of the book. Anyway, enough complaining. I got The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, and it is the sequel to none other than Six Crimson Cranes. I just barely finished Six Crimson Cranes about a month ago, so it hasn't been too long. I'm very excited to have the sequel pretty soon after I finish the first book. And yeah, I loved this book. It was so good. Elizabeth Lim is one of my auto-buy authors. If you've never read Six Crimson Cranes, it follows our main character, Shioriana. She is the princess in the kingdom of Kiata, and basically she has forbidden magic. Magic is forbidden in the kingdom, but Shioriana has it. And that attracts the attention of her stepmother, Raikama. So she basically ends up banishing Shioriana, steals her voice or her ability to talk, and enchants a wooden bowl to be stuck to her head so nobody can actually see her face and know that she's the princess. And to ensure that Shioriana never reveals who she is once she's been banished, her stepmother basically enchants all of her brothers and turns them into cranes, hence the name of the book. And so they're birds now. And so she tells Shioriana, if you ever try to speak or tell somebody who you are, I will kill one of your brothers every single word you speak. And so she's like, well, I don't want to kill my brothers. So she's basically mute throughout the entire book. And the whole book follows her quest to return to the kingdom, to return and figure out why her stepmother did this to her and things like that. But not all is as it seems, and that was what was really cool about this book. Just hold on to the end. It's good. It's a good twist. I did enjoy this book a lot. So The Dragon's Promise is kind of a continuation of where Shioriana left off on her journey after the first book ended, and basically she has to travel to this dragon kingdom in order to return something that once belonged to them, and it is this entire adventurous plot, and that's all I know going into it. I don't want to know more. I am just very excited to continue the journey with Shioriana and see where it takes her. So yeah, Six Crimson Plains, and I finally got The Dragon's Promise. So there you have it. Those are 6 new books that I have on my TBR. I'm very excited to read each and every one of these. They've all caught my attention in other ways, and some of them are starts to new series, some of them are continuations of new series, and yeah, I'm just very excited to have more books to read and more content to make for the blog and the BookTube channel. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.